Welcome to this video tutorial session. In my last tutorial, I inserted all my vertical structural members in my structural model on Orion 18 software. In this tutorial, I'm going to explain to you how to insert beam elements in Orion 18 software. However, I'm not going to. This will be the part 1 session of beam insertion in Orion 18 software. I'm not going to use my main model. I will open my sample project. I'll click on File. I will open my sample project. You look for sample projects in the left corner of your open project dialog box. So I'm calling this on sample project. I'll click OK to open sample project. So you remember I use this sample project to explain to you how to insert columns in Orion 18 structural model in my previous tutorial. So on this interface, I'm going to teach you how to insert beams in Orion 18 software. The beam icon in the member toolbar, you can see that this is the column icon, this is the wall icon. We've already worked with these two icons. The next item is the beam icon. As you click on it, the beam property dialog box appears. And in the beam property dialog box, we also have label. To label the members. We have normal support band, rigid band. I recommend you always use normal band for your beams. For these dimensions, I'm going to click on the F icon here to explain the B1, B2, H bottom and H top dimension, and also the I and J ends. So I'll zoom to this drawing. You'll see in the drawing the beam represents the width of the beam. The B2 represents from the right hand corner of the beam to the vertical grid line is your B2. You should know the difference between column and beam. Column is from the lower left corner of the grid line, but the beam is from the right hand corner to the grid line. So that is about B1 and B2. For the vertical dimension, the H bottom and the H top. H bottom is the full depth of the beam to the slab. So H bottom is not just from the bottom of the beam to the bottom of the slab. It's the full depth of the beam. You should know that. H top is from the top of your slab to the top of your beam. That is if you are using an off-stand beam. If you are using an off-stand beam, let's say you want to model an off-stand beam, our H bottom will be 0. Our H bottom will be 0. I've not tried modeling off-stand beam on Orion, so I'm not sure of that. H bottom 0. According to this dimension, our H bottom will not be 0. Our H bottom will be, an off-stand beam, the slab is at the bottom, then the beam goes up. Our H bottom will be the depth of the slab. If your depth is 150, your H bottom will be 150. Do you understand? And your H top will be from that top of the slab to the top of the beam. That will be what your H top is. So that is the explanation on the B2, H bottom and H top dimension. Also, what I want you to note is the I and the J intersection point. To model a beam in Orion 18 software, you need 2 intersections. Let's say you want to span a beam between 2 columns. You click a column point and you stretch to another column point. So the first column point you pick is your I point, while the second column point you pick is your J point. So I hope that explains everything on beam dimension. I'll close this app window. So that's all on general. Also, you will see this button here, BN condition. I will recommend you never change this. Let this BN condition here denotes at the beginning of the beam, there's a moment connection. The fixed end there's a moment connection there, fixed end support, and at the end of the beam there is a moment connection there. If I should click on it once, you will see these 2 dots. These 2 dots denote that the beam is simply supported. There is no any moment connection at the 2 ends. If I should click on it again, you can see the dot is only at the left hand side of the beam. So it means that this end is pin support, the other end is fixed support. I click again, I get the dots at the right hand side. So at the beginning it is fixed, at the end it is pinned. So I'll click on it again, I have my fixed air support on both sides. I would like to explain this button to you, this insertion option. Let's say I enter a width of 250. This B2, let's say I want to centralize my grid along, I want to centralize my beam along the grid. So if I click this point, this value here will update to half of this value. So this right is 125. For example, let me change this to 300, and I click this button here, and see this value updated from 125 to 150. So you should note the function of this button. So this is what is on the general tab. On the model tab, in the beam power dialog box, I would recommend you don't tamper with this place. There is no need to do that. I will explain some parts to you, some part of this tab to you. The material, you can concrete. The material we use for our beam, we are using concrete. We are not using steel. We are using concrete. You can specify the E value here, but I think it's not recommended you change this value. The concrete, you can override the concrete property that was specified in our building analysis on the own menu. You know, we specify the property of our concrete. We C35, we set it to C35 for all elements. So you can override that value for at this point here, but I don't recommend you do that. You want to use uniform concrete property all through your project. So the steel, you can also override the grade of the steel. The 3D, when the 3D is used to specify our. I will explain this to you later. I will explain this del Z I point, del Z J point to you later. Let me go back to the general tab. Assume I want to use a beam width of 230, so I enter 230 in the B field, and I want the beam to be centered along the green line. So you can either type 115, that 115 is half of 230 in your B2. So if you don't want to type it, you can click on this button here and click this middle option. When you click the middle option, the value updates to half of 230, which is 115. Now assume I want my overall depth of beam to be 600. So I'll enter 600 as my H bottom. I'll specify 600. Assume I also want the beam to extend upward from the slab. Say by 300, I can put a value. However, I'm not going to do this. So this is the property now. So once you have set the property, you click on true intersection, true grid intersection to insert your beam. I can click on grid A1, click on it, I will drag to D1. I've inserted my beam in my model. If I should click on the 3D view, so I want to click on the 3D view now. If I zoom on it, you'll see I'm on my story 2. Okay, I'm on my story 2. Wow. Okay. So I'm on story 2. You can see this, the label for the beam is 2B2. The 2 for story 2, the B for beam, 1 for, this is the first label in my model. You can see the dimension of the beam written here, 230 by 600. So that's how you insert beam in your model. So if I should click on 3D, you will see the beams inserted in your model. So you should note that. Assuming I want to insert beam from the line 8 to 9, I can do this in one swoop. Instead, like I will select this beam now. Similar to the column that you select a column and you can click and click property. You can do that for the beam. I'll select the column and I'll click property to get the beam. Selecting the beam, right clicking the property, you get the beam property dialog box. Instead of clicking property form, instead of clicking this button, this beam button on this toolbar, on this member toolbar. So I've gotten to my beam property. So I'm trying to tell you that you can insert beams in one sweep from grid intersection A1 to grid intersection A9. In one sweep, instead of you will click A1 to A2, A2 to A3. I already have my columns arranged along that grid. So if I should click on this point and I click on grid line 9, watch what will happen. Now let me close this. You can see that this is a beam. The beam has been inserted there. A beam has also been inserted here. A beam has been inserted here. A beam has been inserted here. So I did this. I inserted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beams in one sweep instead of doing it one by one. When I mean one by one, I've selected this beam property using this property, beam property, doing it one by one, and then you click D1, I'll do this. I'll click D2, I'll do this. The slow process. So you can do that too. I think this is all what you need to know about beam property on Orion 18. Also, I told you that I'm going to explain the 3D tab to you. This del Z and this del Z value. This del Z I value and del Z J value. On story 2, I'm going to open my plan view and tree view simultaneously. Now, on my plan view, assuming I select this beam, and I click on the click property, and I move to the 3D view. You know, for this beam, A1 is my first intersection, so A1 is my eye. Remember, my first when I was inserting this beam, I clicked on A1 first, so A1 is my eye, A1 is my I, D1 is my J. So if you set this value as 0, 0, this beam will be inserted as story at that story. But assuming I want to raise the beam up at one intersection point or lower the beam up, I can do that. Assuming I want to raise the beam up at I intersection, say by 500. If I click update, check what happens in my model. Wow. You see what happens in my model? The beam is now inclined at 500. But it's actually okay. So Orion is specifying this point as my I value. So see, I've raised this intersection point here by 500. But I want to bring it back to as a normal horizontal beam. I'll just change this to 0 and click update. You can see it's now normal. Okay? You can see it's normal. But I want to change the J to 500 up, to raise up by 500. I can update it. I want to turn it back to the normal horizontal position. I'll put it to 0 update. If I want to drop it down by 500, I'll put minus 500. You can see it drops down 500. So this is how you insert inclined beams that are not horizontal in your model, in Orion 18. I hope you understand all my explanation in this tutorial. I'll close the beam property dialog box now. Then I will go back to plan view only, remove the 3D view. So I've come to the end of this tutorial. In my next session, which should be part 2 of this same topic, I will insert my beam element on my main project, the 5-story commercial building project that we have been working on thus far. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.